I supported my entire family for 6 years, but when a fire destroyed everything I had and I needed help, my own mom laughed and said, "This isn't a shelter." That's when I knew I had to cut them off for good. By the next morning, I had 69 missed calls. Hi Reddit, I'm Emily, 29 years old. For 6 years, I gave my family everything: money, time, energy, even my peace. But to them, I wasn't a daughter. I was just someone to use, like a walking bank. And the sad part? I let it happen. I told myself this was love, giving everything and never asking for anything back. It started innocently. I got a good job in digital marketing after college, working remotely. I was 23, full of hope, eager to help. My parents' bakery had taken a financial hit and eventually shut down during the pandemic. My younger siblings were still in school. I figured, hey, I've got a decent salary. They need me right now, and we're a family. We stick together. That right now became 6 years. First it was groceries, then rent, then the car note, then my brother's laptop for school, then the water heater, then the electricity bill, and every month, they found new ways to need me. I stopped going out. I didn't take vacations. I cut corners. I lived in a rundown apartment with a leaking ceiling and creaky floors just so I could send half my income home. But over time, something changed: their tone, their attitude. They stopped saying thank you. They started expecting it, demanding it. If I sent money a day late, I'd get cold texts from my mother: "Your dad's stressed again. Hope you're not forgetting us." My sister would ask for extra shopping money as if I were a walking ATM. My father never even called me unless there was a financial crisis, which was always. And still, I kept giving, because guilt is a hell of a drug. I thought, they raised me, they struggled, they must be hurting. But the truth is, they weren't struggling anymore. They just stopped trying, because I had taken over. My mom hadn't worked in years. My dad took occasional gigs but never followed through on anything. They got comfortable sitting back while I silently drowned. Then, 3 months ago, the fire happened. I was away on a 2-day business trip when the apartment above mine caught fire due to faulty wiring. The flames tore through the top floors, including my unit. I came back to find the building cordoned off with red tape and smoke still curling into the sky. My heart dropped. Everything I owned was gone: my laptop, my hard drives, my birth certificate, my clothes, my furniture, my photos. My life was reduced to ash in less than 30 minutes. I stood on the street in the same clothes I'd worn for the trip, holding a dying phone with 12% battery, completely shattered. I didn't even cry, I just stared, numb. Then I made the biggest mistake of all. I called my mother. She answered after the second ring, cheerful and loud like always. I said, "Mom, there's been a fire. I lost everything. I have nowhere to go. I need to stay with you for a few days." There was silence on the line. Then she laughed, actually laughed. "Emily, are you serious?" she said, almost giggling. "This isn't a shelter. We barely have space as it is. Your brother's staying in the guest room. And anyway, you're almost 30. Isn't it time you learned to handle your own mess?" Handle my own mess? As if I hadn't been handling their mess for the last 6 years. I stood there in the middle of the street while her words echoed in my head, not a hint of concern. No, "Are you okay?" No, "Do you need help?" Just cold rejection, like I was an inconvenience, like I wasn't her daughter. I didn't argue, I didn't cry, I didn't beg, I said nothing. I ended the call, and in that moment, something snapped in me, not in an angry, explosive way. No, I went cold, I went still, like all the warmth in my body had been vacuumed out. I was done. That night, I used what little I had left on my credit card to book a 3-day Airbnb on the edge of the city. I sat on the floor in a stranger's living room and made one decision that changed everything. I was going to disappear from their lives. No grand announcement, no screaming match, just silence. The next morning, I got to work. I called every service I'd been paying for. Netflix canceled, Amazon Prime removed, grocery subscriptions stopped, utilities I was covering disconnected. I called the bank and pulled my name off the co-signed car loan. Then I transferred the last payment I'd ever make to them and ended auto debit permanently. I deleted the family group chat. Over the next few days, I began to rebuild. I told my employer what had happened, and they gave me time and support. Insurance started moving slowly but surely. I bought a refurbished laptop. I worked from a co-working space. I borrowed dishes and sheets from a kind colleague who lived nearby. It was quiet, lonely, sure, but it was mine. And you know what? It felt peaceful. I didn't owe anyone anything. For once, I didn't wake up dreading a new demand. For the first time in years, I breathed. Days passed. I expected someone to notice, but the silence from them was deafening. No one checked in, not even my sister. Then came the fourth day. It was early, maybe 6:40 in the morning. I woke up to a buzzing phone on the nightstand. I blinked at the screen and froze. 69 missed calls. That wasn't a joke. That was real. 69 missed calls from my mom, my dad, my siblings, even my aunt. Dozens of voicemails, hundreds of unread messages. The silence had ended, and they were panicking because without me, everything they depended on was crumbling. I didn't even unlock the phone right away. I just stared at the screen, letting the number sink in. I got up, made myself a coffee in the borrowed kettle, opened the balcony door, and sat there as the city stretched awake, while my family fell apart. I took my first deep breath in years, and I said nothing. I sat on that tiny Airbnb balcony with my coffee, staring at the screen that said 69 missed calls, and felt something I hadn't tasted in years: silence without pressure. It was clean. Still, the kind of silence that doesn't come with waiting for the next crisis to hit. For the first time, the fire wasn't behind me. It was inside me now, and it was burning everything that ever tethered me to them. I didn't rush to listen to the voicemails. I didn't skim through the texts. I knew exactly what they'd say. My mom would start with fake worry, then flip to passive-aggressive guilt. My dad would bark demands, trying to reassert control. My sister would be caught in the middle, confused why I wasn't playing my role. And my brother, he'd just be mad the money was gone. I didn't need to hear the words. I'd heard them all before. The only difference now was that I no longer cared. That same morning, I opened a brand new savings account. I transferred what was left of my emergency fund, finally, for my emergencies, not theirs. I ordered my new laptop through work's reimbursement program, applied for a replacement ID, and signed a short lease on a quiet rental in a corner of the city where no one knew me. In less than a week, I had done more for myself than I had in the last 6 years combined. Meanwhile, the calls kept coming. I finally muted the group thread, turned off notifications, and deleted their contacts one by one, not out of spite, but for peace. I knew if I read too much, I might fall back into the trap. That's how guilt works, whispering in your voice, disguising itself as duty. I'd spent years apologizing for not being enough while giving them everything. Never again. A few days later, I got a knock at the door of the Airbnb. I wasn't expecting anyone. My stomach dropped. I opened it cautiously, and there she was, my mother, in person, standing there in the same overdone makeup, the same cardigan she always wore like armor, the same expression that said she thought this would go her way. She looked around, disappointed by the size of the place, then said flatly, "We need to talk. Not how are you, not are you okay, just we need to talk." Like this was a business meeting I was late for. I didn't even open the door fully. I leaned against the frame and said nothing. She launched in, "Your father's been sick. Your brother's tuition hasn't been paid. We're weeks behind on rent. We don't understand what's happening. Why are you acting like this? Why would you just abandon your family?" There it was, the manipulation, the weaponized confusion, acting like she didn't know what she'd done. I laughed quietly, bitterly. "You turned me away," I said, "the night I lost everything. You laughed. You said this wasn't a shelter. You told me to figure it out myself." She blinked, like she couldn't remember, or maybe she just didn't think I would. I continued, "So I figured it out. I'm fine, I survived, and I'm not coming back." Her eyes flashed. "You're being dramatic. We needed you, we counted on you. And I was never allowed to count on you," I said sharply, "not once." There was a long pause. Then her voice lowered into that tone she always used when she was about to guilt-trip me. "We're your family, Emily. You're supposed to take care of us." I stared at her, calm, cold, done. "No," I said, "I did take care of you, for 6 years, and you treated me like a wallet, not a daughter. And the one time I needed you, not for money, not for anything huge, just a roof and a bit of compassion, you turned your back on me." She tried to talk again, but I shook my head. "We're done," I said, "you can go," and I closed the door in her face. She knocked again, called my name. I didn't answer. I stood in the kitchen and let the moment wash over me. 4 years, I'd dreamed of being heard, of being understood. I didn't get that, but I got something better. I got out. After that, it was like someone flipped a switch in the family group dynamic. The silence didn't last long. My dad texted me a week later, "Grow up. You're being ridiculous. You don't turn your back on your blood." He followed it up with a request for $600 to help get things back on track. I blocked his number. Then came my sister. She didn't ask for money. Instead, she sent me a long message, half apology, half confusion. She said things were falling apart at home. She didn't understand why I'd gone silent, but she hoped I was okay. It was the first message that felt even slightly sincere. I didn't reply, not because I didn't care, but because I needed distance. The pain was still too fresh, the betrayal too raw. By the end of the month, I heard through a cousin, who didn't know I'd cut them off, that my family was struggling. The car had been repossessed. My brother had to defer a semester. The power had been shut off temporarily. The walls were cracking, because for the first time in years, I wasn't holding the roof up. Some part of me, maybe the old me, felt a tiny flicker of guilt, but the rest of me felt free. I poured that freedom into myself. I started therapy. I joined a pottery class on Sundays, something I used to love but gave up because weekends were for catching up on work. I went grocery shopping and bought real food. I decorated my apartment slowly, picking things because I liked them, not because they were cheap or practical. One night, I walked past the mirror and barely recognized myself, not because I looked different, but because I was standing taller, smiling easier, breathing deeper. It had taken losing everything to realize I had nothing to lose except the people who had been draining me for years. A month after the fire, I got a handwritten letter, pages long, from my sister. She finally admitted she saw what I'd done. She wrote about the time I missed my birthday dinner because I was paying off their credit card debt. She remembered the way Mom spoke about me behind my back, calling me overdramatic any time I expressed burnout. She said she was sorry, that she was starting to see it all for what it was. I cried reading it, not because it fixed everything, but because for the first time, someone acknowledged that I had bled for that family, that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't selfish, that I'd been taken for granted. I didn't reply right away. I still haven't, but I kept the letter in my nightstand, folded carefully, like something delicate, because maybe not every bridge has to be burned completely. Still, the ones I walked away from are staying in the past. Now, I wake up to sunlight through soft curtains, not to 69 missed calls. I built a quiet home, one filled with peace, not stress. Mornings are mine now. I was never selfish. I was just the first one to stop letting them take advantage of me.